Hello there! Hey guys, welcome to my review of Brotherhood by Mike Chen. This book came out on May 10th, and it takes place after Attack of the Clones, but before the Clone Wars, and it sort of bridges the gap. It's about Anakin and Obi-Wan and their changing relationship from master and apprentice to being more like brothers, as the title suggests. Also, I just want to say thank you for 100 subscribers on this channel, and hashtag justice for Wade. Keep it going, guys. Keep the Wade dream alive.
Right behind you.
Okay, so this isn't going to be structured very well. I haven't written a script. I'm just going to be saying my random thoughts as they come up. I'm going to start not talking about spoilers because I'm guessing probably most of the people watching this haven't read the book, and I want to give you an idea of what it's like and whether or not you would like to read it. And then later on, I'll talk about some spoilers. Okay, so Brotherhood takes place, I think like a few weeks, maybe a month after Attack of the Clones, or maybe not even that long. Anakin has just been promoted to Jedi Knight. The Jedi Council has decided to promote Padawans to Jedi Knights kind of early in order to get them like out and fighting in the war. And this also takes place shortly after Queen's Hope, which is another book. It's the last book in the Padme Queen's trilogy. So if you're reading all the books, it does work nicely to read Queen's Hope first, and then this one, there's actually a few connections between them, which was pretty cool. I didn't like Queen's Hope that much overall. I thought the plot was not very interesting. It didn't hook me or really make me care to learn about what was going on in that story. But Brotherhood is much better. Brotherhood is my favorite prequel-era Star Wars book that I've read so far, and I've read all of the canon ones except for the Thrawn Ascendancy trilogy, because I'm gonna read like the rest of the first Thrawn trilogy first before I read those. Anyways, Brotherhood works as a perfect companion piece to Attack of the Clones. It sort of adds some post-context to the events of the movie through the characters' thoughts, so you can understand more of what Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Padme were thinking during the movie, and it sort of smooths over some of the rough edges and less good parts of Attack of the Clones. There's even a few references to the memes. I won't spoil what they are because it was nice to come across those. And the way that Mike Chen referenced some of the memes, it wasn't overly goofy and silly, like it fit into the story, but it was still like, okay, yeah, he's giving a nod to the meme. Love it. And this book also works as like a perfect prequel to the Clone Wars series. In fact, in many ways, it feels like it's a Clone Wars arc that we never got, and an arc that feels kind of essential when you really think about it, because Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship in Attack of the Clones versus in the first time that you see them at the start of the Clone Wars TV show is very different. They bicker and argue a lot in Attack of the Clones, and a lot of the time it seems like they don't really even like each other all that much. But then once you get to the Clone Wars show, Anakin is much more mature. He's not really whiny or bratty, and when he has disagreements with Obi-Wan, it's more of like a playful back and forth banter where they're disagreeing about things as friends, not in a way that's as serious or in a way that makes it feel like they hate each other at all, like it kind of does at times in Attack of the Clones. So you see that arc, that character development from both of these characters of learning to see each other in a new way. Obi-Wan has recently been appointed to the Jedi Council in a temporary position, and he's getting used to that as well. And without spoiling too much, the basic gist of what gets the plot of this book in motion is Zara City on Cato Nemoidia is bombed. Basically, if you don't remember what Cato Nemoidia is like in the movies and the show, it has these like tall mountains where these bridge cities are put between them, and someone has bombed the support strut things like holding the bridge city up, and it has all fallen down and killed like everyone in this portion of the city. And Count Dooku comes forward and blames the Republic for the bombing. So Obi-Wan ends up going to Cato Nemoidia as an emissary of the Republic in order to investigate and figure out who did the bombing, and basically to clear the Republic's name. So there's quite a bit of bias behind what he's doing. And something I really liked about this book when it comes to that investigation and who actually did the bombing is it plays into the themes of bias and prejudice, and that facts and evidence aren't enough on their own, and the context of them matters. Also, and I don't think this is a spoiler, but if you want to go in blind, then I guess you shouldn't watch this, but Asajj Ventress is in this book, and this is actually her first canonical appearance, at least her first one where she is made aware to the Jedi. Obi-Wan meets her, and he doesn't know who she is prior to this, which is great that we finally get this, because in the Clone Wars show, Asajj Ventress just appears as if the characters already know her, and that was probably done because of the 2D Tartakovsky Clone Wars. That show introduced Ventress originally, but then the 2008 3D animated Clone Wars show chose to overwrite that show, and then when Disney bought Star Wars, that show was officially made non-canon. So now in canon, Ventress has no introduction. So this book gives her that, and I thought it was a really great introduction to Ventress. There is also a lot of really great Anakin and Padme romance scenes, which kind of balances out the cringe, bad romance scenes that they had in Attack of the Clones. You understand their relationship more and why they both like each other, especially Padme liking Anakin, because in Attack of the Clones, it seems like she has so little reason to fall for him when he basically claims to be a fascist, which goes against her complete purpose in life. Anyways, there were some really great Anakin and Padme moments that really helped me understand their relationship and why they love each other. And one of the greatest things that this book does is it has these new supporting characters. There's one main one for Anakin and one main one for Obi-Wan. I won't spoil anything about who they are, but sometimes in these Star Wars books, the new supporting characters are just less interesting to read about than the main characters. And I didn't really find that to be the case in this book. I really liked these two characters and what they brought to Anakin and Obi-Wan's stories. Each of these characters challenged them in different ways and helped to develop these characters, and Anakin and Obi-Wan grow as people because of their interactions with these characters. I think that was really well handled, and there's some stuff with Anakin in this book that is surprisingly emotional. So yeah, I guess that's all I can say without getting into spoilers. I thought it was a really great book. I don't have any downsides to it, except maybe at some points a few of the action scenes where characters are running across rooftops. Some of the prose and just how it was written was a little bit confusing to me, with like where the character are, what kind of building they're running on. But overall, that was such a low percentage of the book, and I did understand most of what was going on with that. So yeah, Brotherhood is awesome. I highly recommend that you guys read it if you're a fan of the prequels or the Clone Wars. It really is that perfect bridge. It feels like a Clone Wars arc. And yeah, if you would like to read the book, I do have an Amazon affiliate link to buy it in the description of this video. What that does is if you choose to purchase the book through Amazon through that link, then it'll give me a small portion of the sale, which, by the way, that doesn't really influence my reviews just because I could make money from selling the book. I'm totally fine with voicing my negative opinions of the books when I have them, like Queen's Hope. I didn't really like that much. It didn't grab me. Also, if you are interested in reading more Star Wars books, I would recommend checking out my chronological reading and viewing order of the whole Star Wars canon franchise. I'll have a link to that in the description as well, but there's links to get all the books on there and to watch each episode of the TV shows and all the movies on Disney+. Alright, so I'm going to move on to talking about some spoilers, so if you haven't read the book, then don't watch this part of the video because it'll spoil it. Okay, I hope I don't miss anything super essential and important. I guess where I'll go first is talking about some things with Anakin. So Mike Chen brings in this story, sort of like this parable of the Sun Dragon, which he has said it's from the Revenge of the Sith novelization by Matthew Stover. I've never read that book. I've heard it's very good, but for the time being, I'm just not interested in reading novelizations of movies because the movie already exists, so I want to read a new story. That's how I feel right now, but who knows, maybe once I catch up on all of the currently released books, I'll read that novelization or something. Anyways, when Anakin was a kid, his mother told him this sort of parable soul of the Sun Dragon who has the greatest, brightest burning heart, and it protects everyone that it cares about and loves. And you can see where Anakin gets his morals from that story that his mother told him, how he doesn't really care that the Jedi tell him that he shouldn't have attachments. You know, he goes ahead and marries Padme anyways, and he even says in this book that his main goals in life are like Padme, I think he said, then Palpatine, then Obi-Wan, then his duty to the Jedi, like after all those, or something like that. Which completely makes sense for Anakin as a character. And something that's great is that Anakin has to work with the younglings, and he's not very good with kids. But one of the younglings, named Mil Alabeth, she is able to sense people's pain more than the average Jedi. It's sort of like her special force ability, and because of the breakout of the war, she's not having a good time, and she makes up her mind that she doesn't want to be connected to the force, so she's trying to block it out, and she doesn't feel like she should be a Jedi. And what was awesome is how Anakin connects to her and is open to talking about this with her and making her feel okay to be feeling this way. And it's something that really only Anakin could do. The other Jedi are more bent on their ways and more strict, and Anakin, he just cares about people. It really shows Anakin's good side, which I think, especially in the Star Wars prequels, was never highlighted enough, what made Anakin a good person. And yeah, it's just very touching that Anakin's able to make this connection with this youngling, and it does add a bit more tragedy and sadness to the fact that he eventually kills a bunch of younglings. Although I'm pretty sure Mil isn't one of them, since at the end of the book she kind of goes off and does something else, so fingers crossed he doesn't kill Mil. That would be the most depressing thing in the world. I'm 99% sure Mil is safe. Yeah, Mil was wonderful. I guess maybe a good segue into talking about Obi-Wan would be that Obi-Wan definitely notices that there's something going on with Anakin and Padme, which makes sense. I like that he's known for this long, or at least had suspicions, because come on, Anakin is not all that good at hiding his emotions. And also, I think at the end of Attack of the Clones, when Padme and Anakin reunite in the hangar on Geonosis, and Obi-Wan is literally right there, I'm pretty sure Anakin and Padme kiss, like right in front of everyone. Hold on, I need to go back and watch that just to confirm if I'm right or not. Okay, let's see here. Padme is running into the hangar. Obi-Wan's helping Anakin up. Padme, yeah. Padme and Anakin kiss in front of Yoda, Obi-Wan, and the clones. They don't even give a shit. Or maybe it's just a hug, because they're like kind of in the distance. I'm pretty sure they kiss though, their heads are pretty close. Oh, okay, I think it's a hug actually, on further inspection, but it looks like they kiss. It's very obviously more affection than a Jedi should be showing for someone in that scene. So my point still stands. Anyways, something that I think is great is with Obi-Wan developing in his relationship with Anakin, he realizes that now that he's not Anakin's master, he should back off. And also, he feels kind of guilty for how strict he was while training Anakin, and he thinks, oh, maybe I should have been more like Qui-Gon. And he notices that in part by watching Anakin sort of mentor Mil, and seeing that the good qualities in Anakin of just caring about people is exactly how Qui-Gon was. And it's sort of just like a wake-up call to Obi-Wan, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have been treating him like this all this time. Also, something that I didn't even mention before, the fact that Anakin sort of mentors Mil and helps her through some of her struggles, it gives wonderful precedence to why Obi-Wan and Yoda would think that Anakin should train a Padawan. So it makes even more sense in the Clone Wars when Ahsoka is assigned to Anakin. Obi-Wan works with Dex quite a bit in this book, which I thought was really fun. Dexter Jettster, I wish he was in more canon Star Wars stories. I think that character specifically got a lot of hate back when everyone would hate on the prequel so much, but you know what? Dex is just fun. So it was wonderful to see more of Dexter Jettster. I really liked the tension and the mystery of Obi-Wan investigating the bombing on Cato Neimoidia and Roog. I think that's how you say her name, at least that's how I pronounced it in my head, but you have Roog, who is a Cato Neimoidian guard, I guess just a Neimoidian guard. if you just want to say her species. And she has a rough past where she's done a lot of killing and violence that she doesn't necessarily agree with, and it gives her a different perspective on the bombing. Many of the Neimoidians are very quick to go along with what Dooku says because the Republic has a history of disrespecting and not acknowledging Neimoidian culture. And you see that personified in Qatar. Once again, these characters who are just in the book, I'm not quite sure if I'm saying their names right. He is a younger guard who works with Rug, and he can only see the prejudice that the Republic has for the Trade Federation and for the Neimoidians, and it ends up blinding him as Ventress manipulates his anger into turning him into a terrorist by the end of the book, which was a really great side character on his own. Character? Did I say? Character. Ventress was great. I like how Obi-Wan and Anakin, well, I mean, mostly Obi-Wan interacts with her throughout most of the book. I like how he doesn't realize that she's a Sith. He knows that she's working for Dooku and that there's something more to her, but he hasn't quite realized exactly how powerful she is or what she is. And then Anakin ends up having the first duel with her, which was, by the way, a really great lightsaber duel, which it's kind of hard to write something that's so visual like a lightsaber duel, but I thought the writing was really great and tense on that, even though we know both of the characters survive. I was worried about Mill during that fight. So throughout this book, I found myself also wondering who actually did the bombing, because there's a lot of evidence that points towards the Republic doing it, but there's also some evidence that the Separatists did it. And by the end of the book, it is left unresolved on purpose, and Obi-Wan realizes that there's some sort of greater power here who's manipulating both sides in order to ramp up the war, to get both sides angrier, less people neutral, and, you know, just get everyone want to fight the war more. Yet at no point is Obi-Wan able to figure out the full depth of what's going on, that obviously Palpatine and Dooku are the ones behind it somehow, and they've worked together to manipulate the galaxy into war, obviously, so that they can get more power. Which is kind of unexpected, but at the same time it works in universe that this would happen. The Neimoidians end the book believing that the Republic did the bombing, and the Republic ends the book believing that the Separatists did the bombing, which in a way is kind of scary how much that feels like real world politics right now, where things are really unclear, things are very polarized, and each side believes almost exact opposite things. So working that into the story of the book was just perfect for the time period of the Clone Wars. And then I guess I'll just jump to the ending of the book. They have some nice setups for the Clone Wars. The Jedi are made officially generals of the Grand Army of the Republic at the end of the book, and part of that they're given the armor that you see in the Clone Wars show, and Cody makes a brief cameo at the end. I was a little bit surprised that Rex wasn't in the book at all. I was thinking maybe they would give like a new first introduction to Rex and have Rex meet with Anakin and work with him for the first time, but they didn't, and after reading the book, I think that's fine. I think if Rex had been in there too, it would have overcomplicated and overstuffed this story. One other thing that I was expecting to get in this book, but I didn't, was an origin to Anakin's scar. And I gotta be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed that we didn't get one, but at the same time, like, is it really all that crucial that we know? No, it's not. It would just be a neat connection. In fact, there was one scene where I was almost certain that they were going to give an origin to his scar, which is when he meets up with Obi-Wan again on Cato Neimoidia. Obi-Wan is calling his lightsaber into his hand from far away, and while he's calling it, Anakin suddenly jumps down. Neither of them expect each other to be doing what they're doing, and Obi-Wan's lightsaber nearly bumps into Anakin. Actually, it does hit him on the arm and give him a minor cut, I suppose. Thankfully, it didn't take his arm off or his head off. But I was thinking in that scene, I thought Obi-Wan's hilt with the lightsaber not ignited, I thought just his hilt was gonna smack into Anakin's face and give him the scar. I thought that would that would have been hilarious, and I do wish that had happened, because giving a sort of comedic origin to the scar would actually be in line with what George Lucas said, which George jokingly said that Anakin got the scar by doing something like slipping in the bathtub, except he won't tell anyone that that's the actual way that he got it. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that in canon, we don't know how Anakin got his scar. In Legends, I think Asajj Ventress gave it to him with a lightsaber wound. That would have to be a real nick with the lightsaber in order to not take out his eye or cut his head in half, but yeah. Going back to the ending of the book, there was one moment that just broke my fucking heart, and it nailed the characterization of Anakin, and it was beautiful in so many ways. How Mill, she's able to sense what's going on with Anakin and how he sees the Jedi Order and his role in it and all of that. And he shares with her the Sun Dragon story that his mother would tell him. And she goes up to him in a moment where she almost turns away and doesn't say it, but she runs back to him to tell him that he doesn't always have to be the Sun Dragon. And oh my God, like if Anakin had just taken that more to heart, it could have saved him from becoming Darth Vader. If he just realized that he doesn't always have to protect everyone in his life, and that sometimes it comes at a cost of something else. And the way that Anakin loves people at times can become a selfish thing, and that's the point of his turn to the dark side in Revenge of the Sith. And Anakin is just stunned by hearing this, and it just makes it more tragic now that he knows in the back of his mind exactly what his one major flaw is, because this little girl who he helped work through her issues figured it out and told it to him. But even though he knows in the back of his mind, in the moment, he's so blinded by what's going on that he gives in, and he's unable to give up the concept of being the Sun Dragon, you know, this metaphor for always caring and protecting about the people and the things that you love, no matter what. And that moment, I mean, it might have been the best moment in the whole book. Also, speaking of how this book gives more context to stories that take place later in the timeline, obviously the whole thing takes place on Cato Neimoidia, which makes the line in Revenge of the Sith be referencing this.
All right. Well, you owe me one, and not for saving your skin for the 10th time.
9th time. That business on Cato Neimoidia doesn't count.
But also, there was another direct reference to something that happens in this book now in Revenge of the Sith that I wasn't expecting, which is Anakin tells Palpatine about his mother's death and that he killed the Sand People, which Palpatine references in Revenge of the Sith.
It wasn't the first time, Anakin. Remember what you told me about your mother and the Sand People?
And we actually see that, because this is right after Attack of the Clones, and it was just, that scene was so good, because you can totally see how from Anakin's point of view, Palpatine is an understanding friend and mentor. He is not a bad person at all. I mean, from Anakin's point of view, and the way that Palpatine presents himself as if he genuinely cares about Anakin. And Anakin is able to open up to him about this thing that he won't tell anybody else, except, I mean, he told Padme, of course, and then she still wanted to marry him. But yeah, I don't think there's anything really left to say about the book. Oh, I like that Rogue got saved by Anakin and Obi-Wan at the end, just because I like her, and I would rather her not die, at least at this point. I wonder if Rogue, Mill, or Katar will show up in any future canon media. I'd say it's definitely possible. And yeah, all in all, I absolutely loved Brotherhood. I mean, I've had it in my lap the whole time. I thought it would be nice to have it with me so I could look at it for reference and things, but then I didn't need to. So yeah, if I had to rank like my favorite Star Wars books that I've read at this point, I think number one would probably be The Rising Storm, then Light of the Jedi. Then at number 3, I would either have Brotherhood, or Catalyst, a Rogue One novel. I'm not quite sure which one I liked more at this point. And also it's been like a little while since I've read Catalyst, but just saying, this is one of the best Star Wars books I've written. It is up there with my favorites. Also, it was great that the book, it referenced Master and Apprentice and some other canon media, which just had more payoff to reading Master and Apprentice first, which, if you don't know, that's about Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon's relationship before The Phantom Menace. Yeah, tell me in the comments if you read this book, what you thought of it. I really enjoyed it. And right now, for me, the Star Wars books are kind of my main thing that I like about current Star Wars content, because almost all of the books are at the very least good, and oftentimes great. They're just more consistent in their quality than the shows and movies, I feel, and their storytelling is just better. I mean, it's a book. They have more time or more pages to tell the story well and to go into depth and detail. And also, I think in the books, they can just take a lot more risks because they're not losing out on as much money if people don't like a book as if people didn't like a movie or a TV show. So yeah, thanks for watching once again. Thanks for 100 subscribers, and hashtag justice for Wade. See you guys.